I call the clerk.
Government business order of the day, number 4, grievance debate.
The question is that grievance has been noted, and I call the member for Blair.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'm aggrieved. Many residents in the electorate of Blair, reaching through most of Ipswich and all the Somerset region, South East Queensland, are also aggrieved in terms of telecommunications. They were promised fast broadband and an affordable NBN by the Abbott-Turnbull government, and they haven't delivered. In fact, the former Prime Minister, member for Warringah, and the current Prime Minister, the member for Wentworth, promised in April 2013 that under the Coalition's NBN, all premises would have access to download speeds of 25 to 100 megabits per second by the end of 2016. All premises by the end of 2016. Well, that's not going to happen. In fact, in my electorate office this morning, my staff could only achieve a download speed of 3.4 megabits per second. I think we can agree that despite it just being over 3 months away, the government has no way of fulfilling that promise, another broken promise by the Abbott-Turnbull government. We've come to expect failures in relation to the NBN and telecommunications. It's no wonder telecommunications are in uproar, and stakeholders are, because this Prime Minister was the former Minister for Communications. The so-called NBN network remains a hit and miss. Deputy Speaker, why? Because this government was too arrogant to continue Labor's fibre to the premises broadband rollout. Instead, they took us back in time to ancient days technologically, trying to convince the country that fibre and copper could work just as well and for a lot less money. And what we've got instead is not an NBN, but a multi-technological mess, or Malcolm Turnbull's mess, an MTM. The cost has skyrocketed. The pace of rollout has slowed to lower than the download speeds that most Australians would expect and have in their actual own homes. NBN codes confirm what we all knew, that the HFC network was a lemon. It paid $800 million for Optus HFC network, and when he was the Minister for Communications, the now Prime Minister travelled the country lecturing anyone who would inadvertently caught his eye of the virtues of this multi-technology mess. It spent over $1 billion on maintaining the old copper network, and now they've dished it for weight fibre optic cable. 5 months earlier, the current Minister for Communications was heralding this fibre to the distribution point, or fibre to the curb, as fantasy fibre. But those 700,000 customers connected to the Optus HFC network are now going to have fibre to the curb. Now, in October 2014, the now Prime Minister told Parliament one of the biggest changes he was making in relation to the NBN would be upgrading the HFC network to ensure that everyone gets very fast broadband, but at a much less cost. And now they've junked it. Now they've junked it. Those of us on the sensible side of this place understand that decent broadband is essential for conducting business in 2016. It's essential for communicating and staying in touch with the fast-paced world in which we live. It's necessary for young people studying, researching and learning. It's critical for job seekers. It helps people be connected and reduces social isolation. It allows technological advances to support those people with disability, older Australians and those living with dementia. The Internet of Things is providing incredible opportunities for those people living with security, dignity and opportunity problems. And we're in a nation of transition. That's why Labor in government invested in the largest piece of nation-building infrastructure ever, the National Broadband Network. And the Prime Minister's second-rate NBN has divided communities in my electorate. There are suburbs where one side of the street people have Labor's NBN. Across the same road, there are residents who rely on the copper network from the last century, the multi-technology mess. Essentially, we have digital divisions in streets and suburbs and regions and country areas in my electorate. Looking at the rollout plan, large chunks of my electorate will remain neglected, not slated for anything in the near future. The government's arrogance dumped Labor's plan to roll out fibre to the premises for this mess. The cost has doubled. Instead of being $29.5 billion, as the Coalition promised in opposition, this government has seen a massive blowout in projected cost to about $56 billion. And they talk about a budget emergency. It's one they've created through their own mismanagement. that second-rate broadband is taking twice as long to build, and it won't be done by the end of 2016, that's for sure. And it's seen this nation drop from 30th in the world to 60th in the world in terms of internet speed rankings. We're not keeping up as a country. We know that fast broadband will help create jobs, and the MTM is preventing businesses in Blair from transitioning to the future economy. Reliable broadband is not a luxury in Blair, where devastating floods in 2011 and 2013 cut off individuals and communities for weeks at a time. Floodwaters have tormented the old copper network in remote areas in my electorate. In the northern areas of the Somerset, in places like Moore and Linville and Toogoolawah, for example. Which brings me to another quite related area of telecommunications. In February this year, I wrote to Senator Fifield about the mobile black spot program. Well, I was pleased to see funding allocated to residents living in Moore in the Somerset Dam. I was extremely disappointed that this vital technology upgrade has not been made a priority. I visited these communities regularly, and I know from first-hand experience the dearth of mobile coverage. Most parts of Moore and the Somerset Dam simply have no mobile reception. It's not poor or unreliable, it doesn't exist. In 2016, just a couple of hours from Ipswich, residents can't make mobile calls or send text messages. It means that parents cannot contact children. And these areas are only, that I'm mentioning here, Deputy Speaker, just about an hour and a half away from Ipswich in particular. Drivers on isolated roads cannot call for roadside assistance if they get in trouble. During times of natural disaster, residents cannot contact loved ones, let alone emergency services. In Moore and Linville during the 2011 flood, individual residents went door to door, checking on the elderly and making sure that prescriptions were filled. They then had to make their way to the fire station to radio for supplies, assistance and medications. You see, the copper landline had been washed away and mobile service was non-existent. So you can imagine, Deputy Speaker, how disappointed I was as a local member that neither Moore nor the Somerset Dam had made it in the first 6-month rollout schedule for black spot funding. It could be another 2.5 years before these isolated communities see their mobile coverage. It's unacceptable. By then, the mobile black spot program would have been another failure, something overpromised and under-delivered on. This government's independent auditor slammed this program, claiming it was beset by weaknesses and provided poor value for money. Many of those opposite campaigned on the back of this program in 2013 and in 2016, claiming a Turnbull government was going to fix the mobile black spots and bring mobile coverage to the regions. What happened was that 80% of funding went to coalition electorates, just 7% went to Labor electorates. Worse than pork barrelling, Deputy Speaker, the National Audit Office found that 1 in 5 mobile phone towers funded in the first round provided little or no new mobile coverage. Funds were used to help win campaigns, if I might put it like that, but deliver nothing in effect. The program was clearly not aimed at improving mobile coverage in the bush or regions. It was about helping coalition candidates win seats. And even then, they couldn't be delivered either. Mr Speaker, Deputy Speaker, I'm aggrieved. In the second half of 2016, most residents in my electorate of Blair won't have access to world-class broadband. Worse than that, they can't access, as I say, mobile telecommunications services and phone coverage. No broadband, no mobile phone coverage, and up to 2 or 3 hours away from Brisbane. So I ask you, Deputy Speaker, how do those people living in Ipswich and the Somerset region compete in a global economy? And there are young people in my electorate who don't have the opportunity that the member for Wentworth, the Prime Minister, has for his young people in his electorate. Young people in the regions, older people in rural communities, families in small regional towns. They're the one who are being failed by the government's failure in telecommunications. Deputy Speaker, it's time this government had a look at itself in relation to this area. We've got 11% gap in digital inclusion between city and regional Australia, and that's on top of the lower wages earned by those living in regional Australia. Digital divide has a snowballing effect. Those with the best access to technology and telecommunications can compete, start to date, and potentially earn more. Those opposite call themselves the voice of regional Australia. That this government's second-rate broadband, the MTM, and its black spot blunders have widened the digital divide. They've got to do far better, and it's about time they did better in terms of telecommunications to people of Blair.
The question is that grievances be noted. I call the member for Mitchell.